Welcome to the Bible Boys for another week. In fact, our last week of this season. This is going to be our last episode. We're doing a short season. I'm Pip, this is James.
Hello. Pip, in 2007, 2008, there was a writer's strike in television in America. And the result was that a lot of seasons of television were shortened.
Right.
So I understand that The Office season 4 was affected this way as well, whereas the other seasons were like 20-something episodes. Season 4 is like 12 or 13. Not that I'm up to season 4 yet.
Okay.
This is our version of the writer's strike.
This is the writer's strike. And you know why? It's because I've got exams coming up for college.
You have to do some more writing.
So it's not like I'm taking a break from thinking about content. In fact, I'm trying to need to do more. So
that's right. You need to do some more writing.
More writing, that's right.
Yes.
So I've got exams coming up for college, so we're going to take maybe 3 or 4 weeks off, and then we'll get back into it next season.
That's it.
Yes, just a heads up. This is our last episode of the season. James, I would like to know, as always, what have you been reading in your Bible? Because, and this might have been forgotten by some people, we are the Bible Boys.
Wow.
Now, we are the Bible Boys. We're not the, To Kill a Mockingbird boys.
We're not the Shakespeare boys.
We're not the Lord of the Rings boys,
No.
although we have talked about it recently.
We have.
We are the Bible Boys, first and foremost.
That's right. And we read the Bible each and every week. We share what we've been reading.
Yeah.
We get into it. So for me, what have I been reading in the Bible recently? Well, as you know, I was, last time we met, I said I was reading Romans and Amos. But one of the things I wanted to share today was from 1 Thessalonians.
Okay.
And so we've been doing 1 Thessalonians through youth group. And I've been really enjoying helping a bunch of our youth leaders prepare in 1 Thessalonians and to preach from it, going through it. And I just wanted to share and reflect a bit on a particular phrase that Paul has for the Thessalonian Christians. So context, Paul was there for at least 3 Sabbaths, 3 weeks, sharing the gospel, but because of all this turmoil, he was run out of the city. You can read about this at the start of Acts chapter 17, and he's really worried about the Thessalonians' faith. He's really worried about them. You can hear that in chapter 3. You can see from verse 1, he says, "So when we could stand it no longer, we thought it best to be left by ourselves in Athens. We sent Timothy, who was our brother and co-worker in God's service in spreading the gospel of Christ, to strengthen and encourage you in your faith." And why did he want to send Timothy to them? Well, verse 5, he was afraid that in some way the tempter had tempted them and that their labors might have been in vain. So Paul, Silas, and Timothy, they'd shared the gospel, they left. Paul knows that the Thessalonians are struggling in their faith. He sends Timothy to encourage them.
Yeah, nice.
So that's the context of 1 Thessalonians. But the verse I wanted to hone in on is verses 19 and 20 from chapter 2.
Okay.
Because hear these words from Paul. He says to them, from verse 19, "For what is our hope, our joy, or the crown in which we will glory in the presence of our Lord Jesus when he comes? Is it not you? Indeed, you are our glory and joy." Now you think about this for a second. What's Paul saying about the Thessalonians? He says in verse 19, they are his hope, they are his joy, they are the crown in which he will glory. And I was like, wait a second. Hope? Why is his hope in the Thessalonians? I can get that his joy might be in the Thessalonians, but then also his glory? I mean, he says it so clearly in verse 20, doesn't he? You are our glory and joy. I mean, I would understand it if he was saying, you will bring joy to Jesus. You are Jesus's glory because through his death and resurrection, you have been gathered together and you are a living proof of the victory of Jesus. You bring Jesus glory. That's not what he says. He says, you, to the Thessalonians, are Paul's and Silas and Timothy's glory and joy. It's really, really striking. What do you make of that, Pip?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite incredible. Like it defeats the idea that Christianity can be like a purely private venture with no like it's a purely spiritual, invisible thing between me and God in my heart. No, actually, part of what it means to be a Christian is to care deeply for other Christians and to want to see them cross the finish line as well and see them finish the race. It also makes me think about like just sometimes we do ministry principles here. Like if you're serving in ministry, there are lots of bad reasons to kind of serve in ministry. There are lots of good reasons. One of the reasons has got to be, surely we want to see these people in heaven with us. Yeah. It reminds me of, we were talking about Reach Australia before. A couple of years ago, 2019, at this conference for senior ministers or people involved in ministry called Reach Australia, Andrew Hurd gave this kind of story about this missionary couple who went to Africa. And they passed away, and their daughter wrote a remembrance for them. And the remembrance was something like, the world is very good at honouring its stars, money, success, access, popularity, fame, all this sort of stuff. And then she said, my parents laboured in a faraway land. The world did not even notice them. But their reward will be the thousands of Africans gathered around the throne of God.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to something of what Paul might be saying here. But sorry, I cut you off. You keep going.
So there are a few things that come to mind, just like this motivation that drives Paul to do ministry. It's so good, and it ought to be our motivation as well as we do ministry. If it ever becomes just the thing we do, it's that's a dark place.
I think that's really, really helpful there, those thoughts. And it does speak to what you were saying in that story that was told at Reach Australia, that the woman wrote that her parents' reward will be the joy of seeing all these thousands of people saved by the blood of Jesus, gathered around the throne, and knowing, wow, that is the joy that they have, the hope that they were looking forward to. I think that there is something very intimately connected here that we see from 1 Thessalonians 2, that his work among them is he doesn't want to see it be in vain. He wants to see them on that final day. And on that final day when Jesus returns and all that is sinful will be judged and all that is saved will be perfected. Paul, Silas, and Timothy look forward to seeing the Thessalonians and knowing that their work as co-workers of what God was doing in the world produced this people who were saved by the Lord Jesus. And that's remarkable. That's crazy to think about. Because, and I feel almost like I'm saying something wrong by saying it, isn't it? But just by reading the verse, that you are our glory and joy. Because it implies that there will be glory for Christians who have worked and see people come to know Jesus through them. Yeah. Why do you think that there is that tendency to, like, why do you think I feel wrong for saying that?
I think we have this idea that being a Christian is about sacrifice, and it's about me not getting any joy or any glory, not having none of that experience, but being a slave to Jesus. Now, there's something right about that impulse. We are servants of God. We do want to be slaves to righteousness, slaves of Jesus, that sort of thing. But sometimes we underestimate the extent to which Jesus wants us to participate in the glory of people being saved and in the joy of worship. Yeah.
That makes me think about just last week I heard another exchange between some people on, well, yeah, couldn't I just become a Christian right before I die? Well, yeah, you could. Okay, well, then I could just live my life and then become a Christian right before I die, and I'll be good, right? It's like, well, yeah, theoretically that's true. But you should become a Christian now because, you don't know when you're going to die. You don't know that you will genuinely become a Christian right before you. But here's another reason. You will miss the glory and joy of knowing that you are a partaker of what God was doing in the world. You will miss out on that hope and glory and joy of knowing that your life was not wasted, but your life was given towards the work of the Lord.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great motivation as well.
Yeah.
I think that this is a helpful way of thinking about the concept of rewards in heaven. Like, have you read much on rewards before?
Not heaps. I know that there's like differing opinions out there, and there is this idea about tiers of rewards, which I'm not really sure about, to be honest.
Yeah.
The common, like the default answer would be whatever the reward structure is in heaven, being in heaven, being with Jesus is reward enough for anyone. And so, and Jesus himself said, like, John the Baptist is the greatest man who ever lived, but if you're the least in the kingdom of God, you're greater than he. It's like, to be least in the kingdom of God is still pretty good.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, I remember hearing sermons on rewards, like, in John 14, Jesus says, in my Father's house there are many rooms, and so, in heaven there are these mansions, and depending on how many good things you did in this life, you might get a bigger mansion. It's still in heaven, but you'll get a bigger mansion in heaven,
right,
with even more rooms.
Yeah.
And I just remember going, there's something weird about this. There's something very strange about this. And so in terms of, without getting fully into it, in terms of my reading of the New Testament, I do think there are rewards, but I don't think that it's this different tiers of mansions. I think that the reward is the reward of the Father saying, well done, good and faithful servant. And of seeing the fruit of being a co-worker with God and seeing that lost and come into new creation, brothers and sisters in Christ. One place where that shows up, where I'd appeal to for that, is 1 Corinthians chapter 3. So 1 Corinthians chapter 3, you've got Paul talking about how, Apollos watered, but Paul, where is it? Verse 5, what after all is Apollos? What is Paul? Only servants through whom you came to believe, as the Lord has assigned to each his task. I planted the seed, Apollos watered it, but God has been making it grow. So they're co-workers, God is the one who makes it grow. Verse 10, by the grace God has given me, I laid a foundation as a wise builder, and someone else is building on it, but each one should build with care. And then verse 13, their work will be shown for what it is, because the day will bring it to light. It will be revealed with fire, and the fire will test the quality of each person's work. If what has been built survives, the builder will receive a reward. And I think that you could read that as, okay, so if you're doing, gospel work, leading Sunday school, sharing the gospel with your workmates, being a minister, and your work lasts, you will get an additional reward. But I think the way that I've come to read this sort of thing is that is the reward of seeing it pass through, seeing the fruit of that in that final day. And 1 Thessalonians 2 gives us that hint as well, that the Thessalonians are his joy and glory and hope. I think that's what the reward is, not different mansions in heaven.
So you're saying like, this is a fair paraphrase. It's like when you work to do something, it's like the accomplishment of that thing is its own reward almost. And so when you're working to see people persevere in the faith, and you're helping build Christians, and when they do, ultimately it's a work of God and His Spirit and His sovereignty. But He's enabled you to participate that, and the being involved in that building work and seeing it come to completion is a reward in itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And enjoying that joy and glory of seeing it on that day when Jesus returns. It's funny, isn't it, that 1 Corinthians 3 and 1 Thessalonians 2 talks about the day. I think referring to the day Jesus returns.
Yeah.
So there you go. Those are some thoughts there which I've had. There you go.
Yeah, nice.
What about you, Pip? What have you been reading in the Bible?
Well, I've started reading kind of slowly from the start of Genesis. I think like, I don't know, I think I've talked to you about this before. Often my Bible reading, I read what I'm preparing for, whether it's like preparing for a sermon or a Bible study or, but I've come to the decision recently that like, I think it's not too much to say, you know, you should try and read the Bible in its entirety at least every year or a couple of years. Like, that's not too much to ask. And so I think I've gone back to that. And I think the danger, if you're in kind of ministry and you're only ever reading what you're preparing for, chances are you'll miss a whole bunch of stuff. And you'll get your memory of some things will become faded. And so I think I've gone back to reading the Bible and trying to cover more ground. But I've started in Genesis. I've started quite slowly. I've been working my way through. But first, I actually want to go to Matthew chapter 18.
Yeah, sure. I was going to say, because you read Genesis last year with your friend, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
I remember that. You shared that on the podcast.
Yeah.
Pods.
Oh, that's it. And that was really good. But I think when you read through something slowly and you're trying to ask your own questions you know, as you go through, that's really helpful. Matthew chapter 18, verse 21. Peter came to Jesus and asked, "Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Up to 7 times?" Jesus answered, "I tell you, not 7 times, but 77 times." Now, what's the deal? Is Jesus just saying, Peter, you think that when someone sins, Jesus is about grace. He's going to, die on the cross to forgive the sins of the world. He's all about forgiveness. Is he saying, Peter, you've got some idea of forgiveness, but it's just way more. Like, as a Christian, as a follower of Jesus, you've just got to forgive way more. You've got to forgive all the time. Anything that bad that ever happens to you, you forgive it. That's the way of a Christian. Is that what he's saying? There's a little footnote that says, or 70 times 7. I reckon it's 77 times.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. I reckon Jesus is talking to Peter here and he's making him think about something in the Old Testament.
Right.
I reckon.
Okay.
No, I could be wrong. Come back to Genesis chapter 4.
Oh.
Right? Now, often when we read Genesis, we go, Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, Noah.
Yeah.
But in between Cain and Abel and Noah, you get some other people on the scene. And one of those characters is
like Seth. You got like.
I mean, that's.
Oh, is that who you're going to?
No, that's Noah's son.
Oh,
Seth.
yeah. Thank you. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. So no, before Noah, you get Cain has children. But Cain kills his brother Abel.
Yes.
Because he's angry that God accepted his sacrifice over his. Verse I'm going to read from Genesis chapter 4, verse 13. Cain said to the Lord, "My punishment is more than I can bear. Today you are driving me from the land, and I'll be hidden from your presence. I will be a restless wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me." But the Lord said to him, "Not so. Anyone who kills Cain will suffer vengeance 7 times over." Then the Lord put a mark on Cain so that no one who found him would kill him. Now, Cain has children that leads down to Lamech. Now, Lamech has a couple of wives. And in verse 23, Lamech said to his wives, Adah and Zillah, "Listen to me, wives of Lamech, hear my words. I have killed a man for wounding me, a young man for injuring me. If Cain is avenged 7 times, then Lamech 77 times."
Oh, 777.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, I think at the start of Genesis, you get a glimpse of human sin spiraling out, just spiraling to the depths of despair. You get, Adam and Eve eating the fruit. You get the first murder. You get unfaithful offerings. You get jealousy, and then you get this like proud display of vengeance. If Cain, who God showed mercy to by putting a mark on him so that people wouldn't kill him, if Cain is going to be avenged 7 times, I'm going to be avenged 77 times. It's this opposite of forgiveness. It's revenge.
Yeah.
If Cain is going to get vengeance 7 times, I'm going to get revenge 77 times. And so it's spiraling. This is right before God just decides to destroy everything in the flood. You get this ultimate display, the worst kind of, display of human pride, saying, I'm not going to forgive. In fact, I'm going to avenge not 7 times, 77 times.
Yeah.
And so I feel in Matthew 18:22, when Jesus says, not 7 times, but 77 times shall you forgive, in a sense, he's righting the wrong of the sinful attitude of God's people in the Old Testament, in a sense, who are like obsessed from the start with vengeance.
Yeah, right.
And so I feel like, I feel like it's those two numbers together, 77, 77, you don't really see them anywhere else. And so I feel like it's got to be a link. In my view, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But I feel like Jesus is saying, rather than the old attitude of vengeance, you now forgive.
That's really helpful, because you could have someone read what Jesus says and say, oh, okay, cool, I've started my tally.
Yes, that's right.
As soon as we get to 77, I'm done.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, wait, isn't that what Hillary Clinton said? There's a quote or something, of even an interview with Hillary Clinton where she's going, the interviewer goes, oh, how could you forgive Bill after all the things that he did? And she goes, there's a part where Jesus says, don't just forgive 7 times, but 77 times. And believe me, I'm counting every single one. Which is funny, which is a funny sort of... It's a threat, I think. I haven't heard the interview, but it comes across that way. But what you're saying here is it's more than just, okay, like just count 77 now. It's an undoing. It's the reversal of the vengeance that we were seeing sin bring in Genesis 4. Here in Matthew 18, Jesus is talking about grace upon grace rather than vengeance upon vengeance.
Yeah. It's like, you think that this is the standard, this is what excellence looks like. Let me blow that out of proportions.
Yeah, wow.
It's an attitude,
Yeah. There you go. I think that's very helpful. I've never seen that link before.
Yeah.
Oh, good stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you know this? Do you know David Goggins? Does that name ring a bell?
Is he a comedian?
No, he's an ultra athlete.
Oh,
he's this American guy. He runs like ultra marathons and stuff like that.
Yeah, gotcha.
He has this thing about taking souls. He says, like, when he goes out for a run with someone, they'll say, let's do 50 kilometers, 50 miles even. Like, no joke, he'll do this like quite often. And he'll run with them. And he has this moment where he says, like, you can take someone's soul by just blasting the expectation. So he'll often finish like a 50-mile run, and it's like, let's do it backwards.
Wow.
And what he says is, like, he loves the moment of like saying that to someone, and their soul just leaves their body because they're so like, no, how can he do this?
Yeah.
And I think there's a metaphor there. As Christians, we want to be so forgiving that, in a sense, we want to be so, Christ-like that, in a sense, we have situations in life and the world looks at us and says, there's no way they've reached their limit of forgiveness. There's no way they can treat this with mercy.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, we're going to do it. We're going to do it all.
Yeah. Like blow it out of the water.
Yeah, we're going to be, yes.
Wow. We're
going to blow your notions of generosity. And, it's a high bar.
Huge.
And none of us live up to it, but That's the call.
So when you say David Goggins would then say, let's run backwards, is it literally while running backwards?
No.
Go the
He'll
other
say,
way?
let's go to the route. Let's do another 50 miles. Let's do it backwards now.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think I feel my soul leaving me just
Yeah.
hearing
Yeah. I feel like it's 500 meters.
No, not a jogger?
No, I've tried.
You're a slow walker.
I'm a slow walker.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, some of our listeners are big runners.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for sharing that, Pip. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
We're going to play Guess Who now. So today, you're guessing.
Yep.
2 weeks ago when we were playing, I lost. Japheth, which I don't think I'll ever forget again.
They're all good. This is good because even Onesimus and stuff like that.
Yes.
And those names will always mean something.
That's right. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listeners, it's time for 20 questions. Guess who? Are you playing along? It's time to do it with Pip. Pip's guessing today. 20 questions.
Boom. I've got these questions down, Pat. I know how to get the answer as efficiently as possible. Question number 1. Is this person mentioned in the New Testament?
Yes.
Is this person mentioned in the Old Testament?
Yes.
Is this person alive in the New Testament?
Yes.
Is this... Ooh. You can't be lying the other than that. Hopefully not, we'll see. Unless it's Jesus. Woo! Question number 4. Does this person appear in the Gospels?
Yes.
Question number 5. Does this person appear outside the Gospels?
Yes.
Question number 6. Does this person appear in... is this person named in Acts?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
So, can we count that as a question? With I'm not sure?
Ambiguous, that's right.
Yeah. So, it's at this point, it's not Paul, for example. Yeah. Okay.
Question number 7.
Yeah.
Is this person mentioned in Paul's letters?
No.
Okay, this is interesting because you're pretty confident that they were outside the Gospels. Not sure about Acts. Not necessarily sure about Paul's letters, but somewhere else.
I did say no for that one.
Yeah, you did say.
Yeah.
You did say.
Mm-hmm.
Does this person appear in the letters outside of Paul's letters?
I think so.
Okay, all right.
I think so.
Is this a man?
Yes.
Well.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
You can query me later.
Sure. Is this person an angel?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Yes. Good. Now there are a few angels. Does this person appear in connection with Jesus' birth?
Yes.
Okay. So it's either Gabriel or Michael or one of those guys. Okay. Alright. Does this person's name rhyme with cycle?
I mean, you can make it rhyme. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
If you're Eminem, you can make anything rhyme together.
Alright. Was it Michael or Gabriel? Or was it? Am I totally off? Okay. Here's another question. Does this person share the same first name as Michael Jordan? Is that allowed?
No.
He doesn't?
No.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's Gabriel, is it? Okay. What question am I up to?
13.
Okay.
So you got 7 questions left.
Okay. Now, am I right? Is it Gabriel? Interesting. Does this angel... Is this Gabriel?
Yes.
Yes!
Good work. 14 questions.
14 questions.
Oh, you got it.
Nice.
Oh, good work. Yeah. It was the man thing that gave it away, wasn't it? When I was like,
That's right. Yes. 100%.
Would you have said yes straight away?
No, I probably would have done what you did.
Yeah, because it's a giveaway, isn't it?
It is.
Because if you said male, even then I'd go, I don't really know if angels have, you know?
Here's a hot question.
Yeah, go.
What is an angel?
What is an angel? An angel is a messenger of God.
Was that you going into teaching mode where you look?
Sorry, what?
I feel like anytime your hands come up like this and you look at the camera, that's James teaching mode.
Is this what you've discerned from hanging out? Yeah. We've hung out for like 3 years now.
There's speculation. This is speculation.
This is speculation, James.
And then there's teaching mode, James.
Our audio listeners are missing out right now.
So an angel is a messenger.
Angel is a messenger.
Yeah.
A heavenly creature.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of them have wings. Some of them don't have wings.
Okay.
Some of them look monstrous. Some of them look like men.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and they are...
Now, when you say heavenly creature...
Yeah.
Physical?
Yes.
Okay. Heavenly creature. Physical creature.
Well... Jesus, right now, the God-man, is physical, and yet he exists in a spiritual realm, right? The heavenly realms. Angel is physical, spiritual realm. There you go. Angels are finite. They cannot be in more than one place at one time.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, well, omnipresence is not something that, other than God, you can have.
Yeah.
Satan can't be in more than one place at one time.
Here's an interesting thing. In Acts, when Paul gets out of prison and goes to see Mary in the household of believers.
Yes, it's Acts 16, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Mary says, is that right? Is it Acts 16?
Wait, sorry, which one are you talking about?
So Mary basically says, there can't be Paul at the door. Perhaps it's his angel.
Oh, yeah, interesting. Oh, great. I forgot which chapter that was.
So, I reckon you're close. Yes, okay, hold on.
Just looking at...
Yeah, here it is. Chapter 12.
Chapter 12. Gotcha.
So Peter escapes from prison. Verse 12, when this had dawned on him, he went to the house of Mary, the mother of John, also called Mark, where many people had gathered and were praying. Peter knocked at the outer entrance, and a servant named Rhoda came. That'd be good. Guess who? Rhoda came to answer the door. When she recognized Peter's voice, she was so overjoyed she ran back without opening it. Classic. And exclaimed, "Peter is at the door." "You're out of your mind," they told her. When she kept insisting that it was so, they said, "It must be his angel."
Yeah, right.
Now, what's the deal? I reckon there's three possible options here.
All right, go.
One is that everyone has their own angel.
Okay.
And we just don't really talk about that.
Yeah.
Two is that this was an old Jewish traditional teaching that everyone had their own angel, and this is what they thought.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what they said. Number three is that... I can't remember.
Well, I have a third theory.
Yeah.
So this is where it gets really confusing, and I'm no Greek scholar, I'm no theological student.
Sure. Yes.
Unlike some people in the room.
Yeah, yes. Angel and messenger.
Angel and messenger are the same word.
Yes. That is the third I had in mind.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey.
Because he would have had messengers to and from prison.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So one of the tricky things is that the word itself is the word messenger. It's just that when it's a heavenly messenger, it's one of these beings, right? So the tricky thing is that translators make a choice, don't they? When they go, oh, it's the word, whatever the Greek word is for it, which I don't know.
Angelos.
Oh, is it? There you go. So at that point, there you go. If they translate it messenger, they've made a choice to say it's not one of the heavenly messengers. If they translate it as angel, you go, oh, it's one of the heavenly messengers. So there you go. There's a third possibility. I'm not sure. I haven't thought too much about that, but it could be that third one. It must be his messenger.
There is a fourth option.
Oh yeah.
They said that, but they didn't even believe it.
Yeah.
And they were just saying it as a joke.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's his angel.
Oh yeah. They're being sarcastic. Yeah.
But they probably wouldn't because it seemed like a solemn occasion.
Yeah. Well, to tell you, like, one of the, if you look at Hebrews 13.
Okay.
Hebrews 13, now, listeners, to be very clear, yeah, we believe there's a spiritual dimension. There are angels and demons. So don't hear us saying there aren't heavenly creatures.
That's right.
We're just trying to understand particular passages. So here's one, Hebrews 13, verse 2. Let me read verses 1 to 2. It says, "Keep on loving one another as brothers and sisters. Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing so, some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it." So, could this mean heavenly messengers?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Could it mean messengers, as in messengers of the gospel? Yes, it could mean that as well.
In the Old Testament,
Yeah.
there are occasions when people show hospitality to strangers and they're angels.
Yeah, that's
Genesis.
right. Yes, that's right. Yes, for sure.
Whether that still happens today, am I going to go to heaven and an angel's going to be like, "I saw what you did. You had Coke and LA Ice and you chose to serve the LA Ice because you didn't think I'd notice."
Yeah.
But I noticed.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because that whole thing about, showing hospitality to strangers because they're angels, this is the verse that people look at. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of these things, verse 1, verse 2, verse 3, it could be seen as separate things. Verse 1, keep on loving brothers and sisters. Verse 2, don't forget to show hospitality to strangers. Verse 3, continue to remember those in prison as if you were together with them in prison. And you're like, oh yeah, those are three separate things. But you could read them as connected. And part of the reason for that is because you do see these three things connected in Jesus' teaching in Matthew 25.
Okay.
Because in Matthew 25, Jesus separates the sheep and the goats in the final judgment. And then he says, when I was in prison, you visited me. When I was naked, you clothed me. And then you go, well, Lord, when did we do these things? When you did them for your brothers and sisters, you did them for me.
Wow.
Wait, am I misquoting that? I'm pretty sure that was right.
I think that's pretty spot on.
Let me make sure I get it right here. Matthew 25, when he said, truly I tell you, whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me. So that's when you don't do it. And then verse 40, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me.
Yeah. And it's brothers and sisters.
Yeah, that's right. So Hebrews 13, loving brothers and sisters, showing hospitality to strangers, visiting those in prison. All three of those things come up in Matthew 25.
That's quite incredible.
Yeah.
That's quite incredible.
And I think part of it is, the thing it hinges on in one sense is whether or not angels here is the heavenly messengers or human messengers.
We just looked at Hebrews at college, and the authorship of Hebrews is hotly debated.
Yes.
I wonder if this adds any credence to the idea that Matthew might have been the author.
Oh, is that one of the theories?
I think that's one of the theories.
Yeah, that would make sense because Matthew has a lot of Jewish fulfillment references.
I'm going to go back to those notes and see.
There you go.
What the arguments are for Matthew.
Fun fact, I once heard a sermon where the preacher said that he knew a married couple who were both Jewish, and they had two separate work trips one time. So one, the husband had to fly somewhere, the wife had to fly somewhere. And in their hotel rooms, this is America, so every hotel room, every bedroom has a Bible in it. And they both separately read a Bible. One of them read Matthew, one of them read Hebrews. Both of them became Christians.
Wow.
And then they came back and were really worried about telling the other person. Turns out, and they're like, "Oh, wow, God works through Matthew and Hebrews."
This is a real story.
Real story.
That's incredible.
Yeah, real story.
Oh, man. That's amazing.
Sometimes you hear preachers and you go, "Oh, that seems a bit far-fetched." This preach, you can trust what he says.
Yeah. I heard this, another far-fetched story, unrelated.
Yeah.
I was reading this thing. Charles Spurgeon once tested the acoustics of a big auditorium. It was empty.
Yeah.
And he yelled out, "Behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world." There was a janitor hiding away in the corner cleaning.
Yeah.
He got converted on the spot just from that sound check.
There you go.
So if you're in church ministry and you're doing a sound check,
people
can be converted even through the sound check.
Yes.
Anyway.
Hey, I got another conversion story. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've told this before on the Bible Boys.
Okay.
True story. So, okay, let me get into it.
Yeah.
A few years ago, there was this woman who became Christian after she got married. And her husband was like, look, I'm very happy for you to, have found religion. That's your thing. I'm not really interested. She'd always invite him to church. Please come to church. Please come to church. He's like, I'm not interested. And she'd be praying, Father, I pray that you'd find some way to save my husband, save him, draw him to yourself. On one of her birthdays, her husband said, sweetie, I love you so much. Whatever you want for your birthday, I'll give it to you. I assume it was like one of her milestone birthdays or something. She said, I just want you to come to church once. He's like, no, anything but that. She said, well, you said anything I wanted. I just want you to come to church once. He said, okay, on one condition. I get to sit at the back and I can leave whenever I want. And I was like, when I was hearing this, I'm like, well, that's 2 conditions. But anyway, she's like, yeah, we'll do it. Yeah. She's like, Father, thank you so much. You've answered, he's coming to church. This is great. Anyway, it was like an evening service on a Sunday evening. So she sat in the middle because it was where her friends were. Her husband was at the back by himself. Minister gets up and it's like, well, today we're starting our new series in the book of Matthew. And instead of a sermon, we're going to have a dramatic Bible reading. We're going to start from Matthew chapter 1, verse 1. And she's like, oh no. Yeah. And, the reader gets up. This is the genealogy of Jesus, the Messiah, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham was the father of Isaac, Isaac the father of David. And she's like internally, no, that's not. That's right. And she looks back and her husband's got like this weird, like contorted face. He has no idea what's happening. Yeah. And then by the time they got to, salmon, I think like he'd stood up and left. Oh. And she was devastated. And the service finished. She goes up to the minister. She goes, why couldn't you have just preached the gospel? Just why did you do that? Anyway, she stayed for dinner, went home afterwards. Her husband was already in bed. And she's like, okay, well, I guess I'll go to sleep. It's a work night, work tomorrow. Anyway, husband wakes up in the middle of the night, taps her on the shoulder. It's like, hey, sweetie. So-and-so is the father and so-and-so. So-and-so is the father of so-and-so. So-and-so is the father of so-and-so. Like, in 30 seconds, we went through hundreds of years. I'm going to die one day. I've never thought as much about the fact that I'm going to die one day. Whoa. Can you tell me about this Jesus figure? And she shared the gospel with him and he became a Christian.
Oh man, that's a crazy story.
Isn't that amazing?
Oh man, don't skip the genealogy. Yeah, wow.
All scripture is God breathed and useful.
Oh, that's amazing.
But it's just one of those amazing things where she's like, no, genealogy. Forget that. Now, granted, I think most people will listen to a genealogy and go, I have no idea what's happening. Yeah. But the Holy Spirit worked through this dramatic Bible reading. And clearly it sowed some seed and opened a conversation for her to then share the gospel. Yeah. So he wasn't converted through the genealogy, but a door was opened through the genealogy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's incredible.
That's pretty cool, right?
That's so good. Oh man, love stories like that.
Yeah.
So good.
It is great. It is really, really great.
Nice. Anything else that you've been thinking about or wanted to?
Yeah, well, one of the things I wanted to share was I got a new laptop.
Oh, nice.
So there was a sale that was going on and I got a new laptop and I'm just thinking about the fickleness of technology. That's what I've been thinking about. Like there are all these different things that you can buy and like, this shiny new device, shiny new toy. Like I remember the first time I got back in first year uni, an iPhone 4. And I thought this was the coolest piece of technology I'd ever seen. Recently, I looked at my old iPhone 4 and I'm like, oh my goodness, this looks like a hunk of junk.
Yeah.
How 10 years, not even 10 years, after 2 years, I looked at it and thought it looked a bit shabby. And it just got me thinking about the transience of technology, things that you think are new, desirable. It's just like, tomorrow there'll be another thing. Next day there'll be another thing. I know, this just got very deep. But yes, it is something I've been thinking a lot about.
Now, is that something to mourn or something to celebrate? Because capitalism has worked.
Jobs did the job.
Jobs did the job.
I think it's something to mourn and celebrate. It's just that there are more important things than the latest bit of technology, the latest thing you buy, like there are so many important things that matter eternally, and we get so excited of a new way of configuring bits of metal and plastic. Yeah, so that's what I've been thinking about.
It's a bit somber.
Yeah, for sure. We get serious here on the Bible
that's
Boys
right,
as well as
right.
having fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So that's what I've been thinking about.
It like makes me think as well. Like, in Greek, our lecturer said, in times gone by, kids would have learned big slabs of Greek, reading the classics as part of their education.
Yes.
And so
We'd learn Latin as well.
Yeah, and so like other languages would have come, a lot easier to them. And I'm sitting there being like, I was watching Seinfeld and eating Fruit Loops in high school,
and the Office at the same time.
That's right, 2 different screens. For all the advancements that we make in some areas, there are other areas where it's like, I kind of wish, now, I don't know, maybe that's just our system or whether that's just me or whatever, it makes you think some things get better, some things don't get better.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been thinking about just in the last 2 days because got it, it's been delivered, going through the process of installing everything, making sure all the settings are the way I want it, disabling stuff I don't want.
Yeah.
I don't use Skype, uninstall.
Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zoom, need it, install.
Yeah. I don't know why Skype was a thing before COVID.
Yeah, it was.
Zoom wasn't, really.
Yes.
But now everyone's on Zoom.
Well, Skype worked, but it kind of didn't as well. The quality was always questionable.
Yeah.
Whereas Zoom, we were forced to use, and we've grown accustomed to it. That's what I think, at least. Yeah. What's the latest bit of technology you bought?
I bought a laptop earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Yes. There are some things, there are some things in life where it's like, I won't want to spend a lot of money on. And there are other things where I'm like, no, this is worth the investment. Think, for example, a car, I would say I'm never going to, I don't think I'll ever want to get like a really good new car.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's just not something I'm passionate about or whatever. A laptop, there's a lot of utility there. And there's a big difference between having like a really powerful, smooth laptop and a clunky one.
Yeah.
And so that's an area where I would spend a bit more.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Can I ask what you got?
I got a Mac.
There you go. The new MacBook with the M1 chip?
I
was thinking about
with
that.
the M1 chip.
Yeah. There you go. Is it nice, reliable, fast?
Oh, it's very fast.
That's one of the reasons I was thinking about it. Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah,
it's very
nice.
good.
Nice.
Yeah.
So get this. I got this really great Lenovo ThinkPad, and it was on a huge sale. And it's one of those things where for me, I won't buy something on sale unless I already wanted it. That's just a personal policy I've got to avoid being sucked in by sales, because sales, it's how they get you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, 50% off. I have to buy this now.
Yeah. And if you, because I used to work with Lenovo and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, you know.
Every week, there's something that's 40. You know what they... Okay.
Yeah, go. Industry secrets.
Industry secret. They'll always have...
Yeah.
They'll pick probably one of the worst products
Yeah.
and they'll make that 50% off.
Yeah, wow.
And then
it'll get people on,
and the
right?
advertisement will say laptops up to 50% off.
Yeah, right.
And you go on and you look at which ones are 50% off.
Yes.
It's the worst ones at 50%
right.
off. The ones that people don't buy anyway.
Yeah, right.
Just so that they can say
Yes.
from time to time 50% off.
Oh, cool.
But
I'm not surprised by that.
having said that, having been a former employee, I can vouch. Lenovo is a good brand.
Lenovo's a great brand.
Every company has their products that are better than others. So yes.
That's right. Well, this one I was looking at was like really, really good. And I was going, this is way outside my price range. There was no chance I'm getting this because it's so pricey.
Yeah.
And then there was the Click Frenzy Mayhem something sale last week.
Yeah.
50% off.
Oh.
Like, that's amazing. So I got it.
Nice.
Okay.
Good.
But I like knowing that I wanted it before it was on sale.
Yeah. The other thing inside the secret is that there's exceptions to rules.
Yes.
And sometimes you get a great deal and you gotta jump on it.
That's right. Well, I have a friend of mine who works for a particular food company, and I was sharing about these policies I have on how I spend money and whatnot. And he was saying, you know what, that's so interesting because as a company, we regularly cut our prices on particular products by 50%. because whenever we do, profits go up 800%.
Mm.
And I was like, well, that makes sense, because why on earth will a company cut prices in order to lose money?
Yeah.
They do it to gain money because they know people will be like, oh, it's on sale, I'll buy it now.
Yeah.
So, pro tip, listeners, if you want to do it, you don't have to, but it's good to know, oh, I want something or I need something, and keep an eye out for it.
That's
and
right.
then, sure, why not buy it on sale? But I would say generally, don't just buy something because it's on sale. Because if you didn't want it beforehand, you're not saving money, you're actually losing money.
Yeah. And here's a tip: if you're going into the computer business looking to sell some laptops, you've got to pick. It's either a margin game or a volume game. Pick one.
There you go.
Low volume, high margin. That's a good way to go. All right. That's a great way to go.
That's it.
High volume, low margin. That's a dangerous game to play, but some play it.
Well, last thing go.
Just on Lenovo, one of my proudest moments, in marketing was we were sitting around a table. They were releasing a new laptop, the X1 Carbon.
Yes, that's a great laptop.
Yes, they were releasing it on Valentine's Day a few years ago. They said, "What's the tagline? What are we going to say about this?
Yes,
that's going to make people click because they want the click."
Yes.
And I came up with this line, X1 Carbon on Valentine's Day. Here's an X you'll never forget.
They went with it?
Yeah, they went with it. It did very well. Yeah.
Hey, good job.
Yeah.
Proudest moment?
One of my proudest moments, puns can make money.
Yeah.
Puns can make money, people.
See, that's a good one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ones that are just not good.
No.
Yeah, that's a great one. I like it. Well, I was going to say, Pip, this is our last episode for the season.
Yeah.
Season 5, I believe. You are going to spend the next few weeks spending more time studying.
That's the theory.
What are your subjects? Let us know what you're getting examined on and what you're learning at college.
So, okay, the subjects are these. We got Greek.
Yes.
We've got Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a subject called Ministry and Mission, which is basically applied, ministry principles. We have Biblical Theology.
Mm-hmm.
And we have New Testament.
Nice. 5 units. 5 subjects.
5 subjects.
That's more than a full-time load at uni.
Yes. And, yeah, look, I mean, for me, by far, Greek and Hebrew are the most difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put most energy into those two because, I mean, literally, they're the most foreign.
Hey, there you go. There's a pun right there.
Yes.
Nice. Well, I hope that you go well with your exams next few weeks. How'd you do on that practice essay, by the way? Sorry, this is dangerous. Me asking you on
This
here.
is dangerous, yeah. No, I got a distinction.
Nice.
Yeah. And it was like, it was okay. It was
Great.
It was alright.
Excellent.
I, didn't use any secondary sources, which apparently I should have. But I thought to myself, it was formative. It wasn't graded.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, secondary sources, I might as well make some up. Everybody needs some, to be honest. And I have done that. But don't do it. It's lying.
Well, that's it for another episode of The Bible Boys. Listeners, thanks so much for listening. Remember, you can always email us at thebibleboys
with the Z
at gmail.com. We'll be back in a few weeks. We'll take a few weeks off. Use this as an opportunity to share us with your friends and family. They can listen to as much or as little as they want. We'd recommend starting from the latest episode, which would probably be this one.
And we would also recommend much. And not little.
That's it. All right. Well, thanks everyone. See you in a few weeks.
Peace. See ya.